This is TWiT.
Zoom's end-to-end encryption debacle. Yes, just when everything appeared to be going so well, the day after our podcast last week, which, as we all know, celebrated the quite rational and well-supervised planned evolution of Zoom's security architecture, during a call with financial analysts to discuss Zoom's latest financial results, CEO Eric Yuan confirmed that Zoom won't be offering end-to-end encryption on free accounts. What? So Eric was widely reported to have said, and I quote from multiple sources, quote, "Free users for sure. We don't want to give that end-to-end encryption because we also want to work it together with FBI and local law enforcement in case some people use Zoom for bad purpose." Oh boy. So not surprisingly, my Twitter feed lit up with our listeners asking whether I had seen this latest from Zoom, and many saying that no way are they going to be using it from now on. To give everyone a sense for the industry's reaction to this revelation, The Verge headline, Zoom says free users won't get end-to-end encryption so FBI and police can access calls. The Guardian, Zoom to exclude free calls from end-to-end encryption to allow FBI cooperation. Engadget, Zoom explains why free users won't get end-to-end encrypted video calls. USA Today, so it's even out of the tech press. Zoom CEO, no end-to-end encryption for free users so company can work with law enforcement. The Next Web, Zoom won't encrypt free calls because it wants to comply with law enforcement. TechCrunch, Zoom faces criticism for denying free users end-to-end encryption. And I could keep going, but you all get the idea. The problem, of course, is that this is seen as purely a profit-motivated policy, since strong end-to-end encryption is desirable and only paying customers can get it. And the argument about compliance with law enforcement, well, what? So you want to allow Zoom to comply with law enforcement, except if people pay for the service, in which case Zoom's newer and better end-to-end encryption will explicitly not allow for any compliance with law enforcement. Okay, so you're making money by marketing your hostility to law enforcement. Of course, we've seen that before. That's the stance that Apple has explicitly and loudly taken. But Apple's encryption is ubiquitous. Apple doesn't allow anyone to not have full end-to-end encryption on any of their person-to-person connections, text, voice, or video. So, of course, I was as stunned as anyone by this news, especially given the mature supervision that Zoom was apparently now receiving. But the CEO had spoken, and on this he seemed quite unambiguous. So I thought I'd reach out to Alex Stamos to see what he might know. I brought him up in TweetDeck and discovered that he follows me on Twitter. So that meant I could DM him directly and hopefully not be lost in the noise. I shot Alex a DM to make sure that he was aware of this mess. And then I continued poking around and quickly discovered that he was quite well aware indeed. He had posted a series of tweets Tuesday, the previous day, that attempted to repair the damage. But frankly, they only further complicated things. I have a link in the show notes to his Twitter stream, which is not too long, so I'm going to share it because it just demonstrates what? So here's what he said. Alex Stamos tweeted, "Some facts on Zoom's current plans for E2E encryption, which are complicated by the product requirements for an enterprise conferencing product and some legitimate safety issues. Next tweet, all users, free and paid, have their meeting content encrypted using a per meeting AES 256 key. Content is encrypted by the sending client and decrypted by receiving clients or by Zoom's connector servers to bridge into the phone network or other services. Okay, so far that sounds like everything is encrypted. He says all users free and paid. Then he says Zoom does not proactively monitor content in meetings and will not in the future. Zoom doesn't record meetings silently. Neither of these will change. Our goal is to offer an end-to-end encrypted solution that provides a stronger guarantee. Zoom is dealing with some safety issues. When people disrupt meetings, sometimes with hate speech, CSAM, whatever that is, exposure to children, and other illegal behaviors, that can be reported by the host. Zoom, be right, because they're in the meeting. Zoom is working with law enforcement on the worst repeat offenders. Good. Making it possible for hosts to report people disrupting their meetings even under end-to-end encryption is solvable. Yeah, we've talked about that. The likely solution will be a content ring buffer of the last X seconds on the host system that can be submitted to Zoom for triage and action. That's entirely reasonable. That's the host does that from within the cone of silence. The other safety issue, he tweets, is related to hosts creating meetings that are meant to facilitate really horrible abuse. These hosts mostly come in from VPNs using throwaway email addresses, create self-service orgs, and host a handful of meetings before creating a new identity. Zoom's trust and safety team can, if they have a strong belief that the meeting is abusive, enter the meeting visibly and report it if necessary. Okay, that's new. He says, as you see from the E2E design, there is a big focus on authenticating both the people and the devices involved in end-to-end meetings. If properly implemented, this would prevent Zoom's employees from entering a meeting as you see from the E2E design, he says, there's a big focus on authenticating both the people and the devices involved in end-to-end meetings. If properly implemented, this would prevent Zoom's employees from entering a meeting even visibly. There will not be a backdoor to allow this. Okay, so it sounds like we're talking about straddling technology. Currently, or until this is properly implemented, Zoom can do this. They won't be able to in the future with a proper implementation. He says Zoom's E2E implementation will need to be opt-in for the foreseeable future. A large portion of Zoom's meetings use features that are fundamentally incompatible with end-to-end encryption. Telephones, SIP phones, room systems, cloud recordings, cloud transcription, streaming to YouTube, etc. So we have to design the system to securely allow hosts to opt into an end-to-end meeting and to carefully communicate the security guarantees to hosts and attendees. We are looking at ways to upgrade to upgrade to E2E once a meeting has started, but there will be no downgrades. So this creates a difficult balancing act for Zoom, which is trying to both improve the privacy guarantees it can provide while reducing the human impact of the abuse of its product. Lots of companies, he says, are facing this balancing act, but as a paid enterprise product that has to offer end-to-end encryption as an option due to legitimate product needs, Zoom has a slightly different calculus. The current design by Zoom's management is to offer end-to-end encryption to the business and enterprise tiers, but not to the limited self-service free tier. He says that's the current decision by Zoom's by Zoom's management, is business and enterprise tiers, but not to the limited self-service free tier. He says a key point: organizations that are on a business plan but are not paying due to a Zoom offer, like schools, will also have free end-to-end encryption. Will this eliminate all abuse? He asks in his tweet. No. But since the vast majority of harm comes from self-service users with fake identities, this will create friction and reduce harm. This, he tweets, is a hard balance. Zoom has been actively seeking input from civil liberties groups, academics, child safety advocates, and law enforcement. Zoom hopes to find a common ground between these equities that does the most good for the most people. Good luck with that. He finishes with 3 final points. 1, most of the people I interact with know this, but I've been working with Zoom as a consultant and helped with the E2E design. 2, none of the major players offer E2E by default. Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, BlueJeans. He says WebEx has an E2E option for enterprise users only, and it requires you to run the PKI, public key interface, and won't work with outsiders. Any E2E shipping with Zoom will be groundbreaking. 3, at no time does Zoom turn over encryption keys to law enforcement. The issue here is whether Zoom's own employees can enter spaces they host. Wait, the employees host?
Zoom hosts.
I don't know who they.
Zoom has the
means.
keys, in other words.
Well,
they meaning Zoom.
He elsewhere also said they don't.
Yeah, but how would he hand them to the law enforcement if they didn't have them?
He says, at no time does Zoom turn over encryption keys to law enforcement. Oh, meaning they have them, but they don't turn them over.
They don't hand them over. And that's why employees could listen to any meetings Zoom hosts.
So he says the issue here is whether Zoom's own employees can enter spaces he doesn't say who they host is.
Zoom.
He says they host.
Zoom.
Is that?
Yeah.
So because Zoom's hosting all Zoom meetings.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but employees don't host meetings.
Right. Well, right. But we had this notion earlier that the host of the meeting could report bad activity.
Who cares what Zoom employees meetings can or can't do? That's not really the issue.
Okay, so he posted all that on the 2nd.
Yeah.
2 days later, on Thursday the 4th, it was contradicted by a Zoom spokesperson who confirmed that free users will be covered by Zoom's AES 256 GCM encryption, but chats will not be covered by additional end-to-end protections. So the official Zoom spokesperson said Zoom's AES 256 GCM encryption is turned on for all Zoom users, free and paid. Zoom does not proactively monitor meeting content, and we do not share information with law enforcement except in circumstances like child sex abuse.
Right.
We do not have backdoors where participants can enter meetings without being visible to others. None of this will change. Zoom's end-to-end encryption plan balances the privacy of its users with the safety of vulnerable groups, including children and potential victims of hate crimes.
They just said 2 completely incompatible things.
I know, exactly.
Okay.
We plan to provide end-to-end encryption to users for whom we can verify identity, thereby limiting harm to these vulnerable groups. Free users sign up with an email address which does not provide enough information to verify identity.
That's current decision by
the current decision by Zoom's management is to offer end-to-end encryption to business and enterprise tiers. We are determining the best path forward for providing end-to-end encryption to our pro users. Zoom has engaged with child safety advocates, civil liberties organizations, encryption experts, and law enforcement to incorporate their feedback into our plan. Finding the perfect balance is challenging. We always strive to do the right thing. So in my show notes here, I said, okay.
Wow.
So today, we still have no idea what they intend.
They got the headlines they wanted, though, didn't they?
They did. They are clearly asked over and over, do you or do you not encrypt all Zoom video? And they answer, right.
Good one. Yeah, that's right.
You got it.
You got any other questions?
Do you or don't you? Right. That's you. You've been listening carefully. Yes. Yes. What? Yeah.
So
Leo, I have no idea.
We don't know what they're doing.
None whatsoever.
It's unclear. And Stamos didn't clear it up.
No. His is as bad as the official spokesperson. And they end with, yeah, this is hard. Yeah. Okay.
I think, I didn't have the same reaction a lot of people did to this idea of encrypt for paid users, but not for unpaid users, because it's pretty clear an unpaid user can use an account without proof of owner, without proof of personality. So it would have been better had they said, we'll encrypt, but only for people who prove their identity, or, give us identity so that we can chase down malefactors, because that's been a problem on our platform. But they're not even saying that. It's completely unclear. Basically, they can give. It sounds like they can give law enforcement anything because they have the keys.
And they're saying Alex said it, and the spokesperson said it. Encryption is turned on for free and paid, and then but not so much.
And
what? Huh? So maybe everything's encrypted, but unless you pay, they hold the key. It
sounds like they have the key to everything. That's what it sounds like. And in which case, this whole thing was FUD of Eric Yuan saying, well, we want to be able to have law enforcement tap the unpaid members. Well, they can tap all of them, because if Zoom has the keys, they just give you a warrant. Maybe they aren't going to ask for a warrant on the maybe that's it. It's just not clear what they're saying.
That's a mess. So thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. And this actually leads me to this is more, to me, of the same obfuscation and hand-waving they've been doing for years. And it really, I am liking them less and less. They bought the best names in security, but it doesn't sound like they did much with it.
No.
But that's just my personal opinion, because we don't know.
Yeah, and if the design that we discussed last week is actually implemented, then that would be good. But now it looks like no one is sure. Even Alex said, if it's implemented correctly,
right?
He gave himself kind of so wait, it might not be.
He's not doing the implementation.
No.
None of these big names they hired is implementing. They wrote that nice paper. And then they said, here, Zoom, we deliver this to you. You go to your Chinese programmers and make it so. And we're done. We're done here.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all got a ton of money. I honestly, this does not reassure.
And that's why Alex you could read him saying, I hope you understand, I'm just a consultant here.
Yeah.
Point number one at the end was he said, most of the people I interact with know this, but I've been working with Zoom as a consultant and helped with the E2E design. He's like saying, I
wrote that paper.
Yeah.
I'm also going to downgrade Alex Stamos a little bit here. It was always a little weird that he left Yahoo because he said they never told me about the billion-person breach. Goes to Facebook. They never told me about the Cambridge Analytica. Goes to Zoom. Well, it's not my implementation, so I'm going to downgrade you too a little bit, Alex. I expect a little better than that. Oh, well.
So I felt it was important for our listeners to join me in FUD, because I don't know what I mean. Nothing could be less clear. This, nothing. I have no idea what they're doing now.
I think it's intentionally obfuscated, and don't forget the most important part of that statement. Well, no one else does it either.
Right.
Right. Well, what do you want? No one else is doing it.
And if we did, it would be groundbreaking. But, maybe we won't. Oh.
We have to do it in accordance with law enforcement and good practice. They don't want to get in trouble with Bill Barr. But honestly, how important is it that you have end-to-end encrypted video conferences? If you're doing, you're a psychiatrist having sessions with a client, that would be pretty important.
It's got to be HIPAA compliant in order to do that.
Right.
And now here's the problem: if you're an enterprise user and you're doing, transnational video conferencing discussing trade secrets,
there you go.
Are you going to trust Zoom? I'm not going to trust Zoom now. No. We're going to use, some sort of, Lord knows what. I know. How do you do truly, sir? You use FaceTime.
It's hard to do, isn't it? It's hard to do. Point to point's easier than distributed.
Yeah.
Fast. I'm so glad you brought this up, and you've actually clarified my thinking, because I didn't see this actual statement from them, which is bonkers.
No.
It's just bonkers.